Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Tara, and we are going to talk about Our Boys, episode 8. It's called Defendants 2 and 3. I don't know why I had such a hard time getting that title out, but Defendants 2
Because
and
you were
3.
concentrating on not saying season 1.
Yes, I was. Also, the things we were joking about right before were still in my head, and I was making sure I did not say anything that sounded remotely like anything that could relate to those things. And no, we'll never tell you what they were. So yeah, this is full spoilers for the episode, of course, as always. And do you know what I think is a nice little twist? Is I think that we assumed Defendants 2 and 3 were going to be Yosef and the other kid because we focused on Avishai last episode.
Mm-hmm.
But it's actually Avishai and the other kid because it's the two that can't be named because they're minors.
Yeah, didn't expect that.
So that was a nice.
That was a good reveal.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's not like a big twist. It's a nice little thing. Oh, okay, you swerved me a little bit there. Okay, I like it.
And I mean, to the episode's credit, we did mostly focus on them. We didn't really get to see any of Defendant 1, Yosef.
That is true. It's because Avishai is still rooming with them in like solitude because all the other prisoners want a piece of them. So they're off on their own, and we get a lot more Hussein this episode and dealing with it. Because actually, this episode reminds me a lot of episode 6. And what I mean by that is that it ended just as the court case was about to start, just in the way that episode 6 ended, just as the reenactment was about to start. So it's like, it's all build up for the next one. It's like, yeah, we're getting to the meat. So I would expect next episode to largely, if not the entire thing, be the court, like that day in court. Or
we were speculating last week where the show was going to go for the last 3 episodes.
Yeah.
And I don't think we expected it to be all court.
Not all, but I mean, there's enough build up. I expect 9 to pretty much all be court, and then 10 can be, whatever. 10's going to be, the wrap up. Not the wrap episode, as that sounded like when you said it there.
What? Oh, you mean like
a musical, but with all rap music, where they're rapping about the events of the season.
Like the hip hop. The hippie to the hip hip hop. You don't stop the rockin'. No, not like that.
The hip and the hop. I went through a period where I like to
the bang bang boogie, say up jump the boogie to the rhythm of the boogity beat.
I am learning so much about you right now. This episode, we'll start with Avishai, I suppose, in his cell, and his buddy there, his cousin, is adamant that no one wants to help him, that Simon is a liar and he's working, everyone's against him, and they get into trouble at one point for an attempted escape, which is just him looking over this wall, and it's clear there's barbed wire up there and there's like a roof on this courtyard area.
There's no way they're going to escape. They just wanted to see.
So we're going to punish them. We're just going to punish them because of her, which is a high escape risk. Their acronym, they call it a her. You're a her, which almost feels like a weird sexist insult. Almost, it's like, you're a woman,
And also, I can't imagine like everyone doesn't try to look over the edge when they go out to that courtyard, because there are places you can climb just to take a peek.
Yeah.
So
I would suggest that it's maybe a racist thing, but they're in a Jewish run prison. It's the Jewish division who run this place. So
yeah.
Yeah,
who knows?
Being extra harsh on them. So, but a lawyer comes and sees him. They've got a lawyer for him, and the lawyer is very specific. Asking about who he's spoken to, what did he say, and he's like, so did you kill someone? And he's like, no, I didn't murder anyone. I've been charged with murder. What? Because he's going through the charges because he's been charged with because he knew about it and he did nothing to stop it, so he gets charged with it. That's the law. And he's like, what did you say? It sounds like, no, I said that I didn't know we were going to kill someone. I said it was this, it was that. And he's like, no, here's a transcript of something you said to Simon. And it's, Simon kind of prods him and says, kidnap and what? And he kind of agrees, kill. And everyone around him was trying to make it out like Simon was trying to incriminate him, like he was trying to trip him up. And in a way he was, but to me it wasn't malicious. To me he was just doing his job. He was just trying to get him to speak.
Trying to get an honest answer because Avishai had put a wall up. I mean, literally, he took a vow of silence for a while.
Yeah. So, really interesting scene. There's a lot of interesting little scenes in this with people like going through the exact terminology of things, and that was one of them. And he wants to speak to, and they actually send in because they're looking, the Jewish division are looking at one point at the the social media right now, which is like just full of racism and just really extreme statements. And they find that Jewish guy, that extremist from the first couple of episodes, that was the informant. And like I was expecting a twist at the end of this episode to show us that he was still working for Simon or something, that they put him in to like try and
Yeah.
get stuff out of them. And they may still do that, but it didn't come at the end of the episode.
Hmm.
But he goes in, he's in the cell next to him, and he ends up talking to him in the courtyard, and he starts talking about Simon. He's like, oh, I know Simon. Like, oh, hey, did he ever mention anything that we could like how we could find him? And they get to his brother, who's a rabbi, and we get this scene where these two of his, this Jewish kid's buddies who have a very distinct look to them. They've both got the same hats on with the long hair, and they
Hmm.
come and speak to him, and they're just to tell him like, hey, your brother did this, like your brother Simon or something similar, because his brother calls him Shimon or something to that effect, if I'm mispronouncing it. There's a H in his name, and he goes to Simon and says, hey, I can't believe you did this, my own brother. It's like he's being blamed for like prosecuting, and arresting some Jewish people, like.
Well, it's not just some Jewish people to his brother, though,
Oh
because
sure,
they're
yeah,
the sons and grandson
of
of
his
the rabbi
boss.
for the,
Yeah,
um, is it
it's
the
his boss's kid. Yeah,
temple or I
the
don't know
synagogue
the name of the,
or the
yeah, congregation.
yes. No, like it. So, it's this thing where Simon, he's having dinner with his mother, and the door goes, and he's just like shouted at, and I felt bad. I was like, no, he did his job. He did his goddamn job. Like, why is
His job
everyone?
is to step aside and look at it from a, third party point of view, not get involved personally,
Yeah, because he's
and just try to get the truth.
his mother tries to tell him, oh, you should help these. There's Jewish people in need. You should help them. And he's like, no, because she's like, oh, but
Yeah.
like, how do you know that he murdered someone? He's like, no, he did it. Like, I just know. Like, I did my job, and I got the evidence. I got a confession. Like, I know. So yeah, it's like everyone's against him, and it's like, no, why? He's done everything right as far
Yeah.
as we can see. Like, it's very frustrating.
They
Uh,
have picked their sides, and no people won't move.
Yeah, and it kind of mirrors what's happening with Hussein for a little bit. We'll get to that later, but it just there's a parallel at one point with how
Hmm.
Hussein's kind of being treated with everyone around him because he's not towing the company line, as it were, for his culture, and it's just an interesting comparison. Um, but yeah, so we do get a scene with Avishai talking to his parents, and we've not seen his parents in a long time, and he's on the phone and.
Yeah.
He says at one point, "I know I ruined your lives. I'm sorry," and I'm like, "Damn, that hits home a little bit because he has like their
Yeah.
lives have completely changed because of what he's done."
Yeah, that was pretty emotional. And his mom tells him, "You're still our son and we still love you." And then his dad's just like, "I'm gonna need some time."
Yeah, we need some time. I'm not quite feeling it right now. So no, that stuff really hard hitting, and he really wants to speak to Simon, does Avishai, but and we'll see if we get that meeting at some point. But one of the things
That meeting?
that meeting, sorry.
Oh, meeting.
But we do get, of course, one of the things where the rabbi, Ben David, is looking for, like, he's kind of being shunned a little bit because he feels like he's being looked at whenever he leaves the house. He's not liking being out in public, and he's looking for representation because a lot of lawyers are turning down because like these people are kind of like enemies of everyone right now. So,
Yeah.
but he does get this hotshot kind of lawyer, this experienced guy who's willing to take the case, and he's kind of going down the avenue of Yosef is insane and cannot be held accountable for his actions, and Yosef is kind of like almost playing into this even before he talks to him because he's kind of pretending not to remember things. Well, I'm assuming he's pretending. I see it as pretending, but I could be
Yeah.
proven
Yeah.
wrong. And
I mean, we've seen him throughout this whole journey, even though he is a bit of a nutcase, but it's all just like it's all like he seems perfectly sane. It's not like an insane thing. It's just that he's radicalized.
yeah, no, I mean, I think the scene we have to talk about is where they go to the therapist, and the
Yes.
lawyer comes along, and they're asking questions, and he's like,
This
"Hey,
was really, really tense and
yeah,
really well done.
this was upsetting to have to like sit through this because the lawyer's like asking like, hey, you might be asked to testify, you'll be asked to give some evidence here just now in a statement, and you may have to testify at some point. So I'm going to ask you some questions, and he's like, hey, so he's on this medication, he's on this, and you've mentioned that he's like got these insane thoughts. I think, or I can't remember the exact phrasing, but it was like insane tendencies or thoughts, as opposed to actually being
Yeah.
insane. And she's like, and she stops talking to the lawyer. She's like, no, Rabbi, listen to me. I need you to understand something.
Hmm.
There's having thoughts like this. There's having extreme notions and tendencies. But there's a difference between having those thoughts and still being in control and being clinically psychotic where you are no longer in control. And trust me, your son was in control of his actions. So she makes it abundantly clear where she stands on this. And the lawyer
Yeah.
almost tries to threaten her, but like, hey, you said he wasn't insane, then he went and killed someone. Like, you might even lose your
No,
practice.
I think it was more like, hey, you mentioned that he had these kind of thoughts and he killed somebody.
Mm.
So that could be malpractice
Yeah,
in
but
some parts of the world or whatever. That would be considered general malpractice and you
he's
can lose your license kind of a deal.
he's trying to intimidate her into like just going along with what his line is, what his logic is for this case, what his argument's going to be. And credit to her, she sits there and she like holds the right line and just does not give in. She's like, no, this is not what I diagnosed him correctly. I know how I diagnosed him. And me saying this, or her saying this, is saying that no, it's not me saying that he was like he was clearly capable of this, but being capable of this does not mean you're actually psychotic. He's still in control of what he was doing. And
It's an interesting scene because it sort of parallels what she thought of Simon and why she didn't want to talk to him because he can
mm,
just cherry pick what he wants. And she even brings it up again in this scene where she's like, cops, right? They're going to write down whatever they they
it,
want and not that
it
they won't grasp the full psychological
it
exam.
further it kind of further for us proves that Simon was doing things in a very level-headed manner. Like he wasn't doing that. He was like trying his best to like
Yeah, because here's an example of what that
yeah.
actually looks like.
And what's interesting is that she ends up like pleading to the rabbi, like, "Hey, you have to understand that if you go down this path, you're essentially taking any defense that your grandkids have because they were like
Hmm.
brought into this by him. And if he's deemed psychotic, then they can't say that they were coerced in the same way that they could have before. But if they, if Avishai's defense is going to be that he was dragged into this, and she kind of believes that, she even kind of implies as such in this little speech.
Yeah,
If you believe that, then if he's deemed as psychotic, he can't necessarily say that
right.
he was
You
dragged into
might
it the same
be
way.
saving your son, but you are dooming your grandkids.
Yeah, and I think that gets to him. The look in his face at the end of this scene when she says that.
He doesn't speak. He doesn't even look at her
Hmm.
during this. It's all the lawyer who's doing the talking for him.
Yeah, it's a very powerful scene. I think this episode's a solid episode, but it's very highlighted by two or three very great scenes that are within
I
the
think
episode.
that scene was probably my favorite I mean, there are more emotional scenes, but the tension in it was just like, oh, like you felt the frustration and you felt for her because, she's been
Hmm.
trying to do the right thing for these last few episodes that we've met her.
But of course,
And
one of our favourite elements of this show since the start has been Hussein and the way
yeah,
he's processing things. And we get a lot of Hussein in this episode. We get him being called in because I think at the start they're at the actual crime scene and they're being interviewed and by the media, and the wife is just not like does not want to do this. She does not want to be in the public eye. She does not want to be anywhere near this. And he's like, no, we have to. I don't like doing it either, but we have to. And they get called in by the prosecutor, who's like, hey, I want to read you the charges before court. I want you to hear this, for me in a private setting where you can process this and we can go through it at your pace, kind of thing. And he's
right,
like,
because he sort of reiterates that they're going to hear this a lot.
yeah,
So this is a good preparation. Like if you're going to have an emotional reaction,
now's the time.
where
Yeah.
maybe you'll get angry, you can do it now instead of in court.
You have to be used to hearing this, yeah, before
Yeah,
you're in front of everyone. And on the build up here,
seems respectful.
his other son Elad, if I'm pronouncing that right, he's been a bit more extreme, and Hussein's noticing this. He's saying, "Oh, what's with him? The way he's speaking, he sounds like I think it's his uncle. He sounds just like him." And Sue has adamant that she's not going to go to court. She doesn't want to be a part of this.
Hmm.
And she's and he sits down and helps her, folding the laundry, whatever it is she's doing, and eventually they get onto the topic of what's up with the son, and she's like, he's got something that's a burden to him that he's holding in that he's not told you, and he's really terrified about you finding out. So promise me you won't tell him. And she makes him like promise like 3 or 4 times. Like she really makes it clear, like swearing that the soul of her dead son. And he's like, I don't have to swear anything. Tell me. But I took that more as like, I'm not going to like bring our dead son into this, but I'm promising I won't bring it up, kind of thing.
Yeah. I don't know. I kind of interpret it as he still has a window if it's bad enough.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. If it's bad enough, and it's obviously we knew that he'd broken the tool, the machine that he thought Muhammad had broken that day, and he looks a little bit upset. But she kind of hogs the conversation at this point and doesn't let him, get any further into his thought process essentially.
Right. And she's also got his Muhammad's phone, and she's been texting or watching the videos
Of
that we know anyway.
the girl that the dancing that he was going to go see, and then later texts her, sorry, and says, "Could you tell me who I'm Muhammad's mother. I want to know who you are and why you were in his life," kind of thing. And she's not responding as of yet.
Yeah.
But,
I think it's more just a mother who's desperate to know more about her son because
exactly.
she found
I think it's
something about him that she didn't know existed.
She wants to know more about who her son was, and this is someone that she didn't even have a clue was in his life.
But clearly is important to him.
Yeah. So now all this stuff is really good stuff, and then there's a great scene where he's in like a meeting, and this is where I was really getting the parallels with how Simon was being treated, where everyone's like, "No, you can't go to this court case. This is this trial. It's a sham. They're all against us." And it was kind of a sweet moment because Elad, his son, who has been very kind of like with the angry mob since like episode 2, like since this all started, he's been very much on the angry side, and he sticks up for his dad, and it's kind of a sweet moment because he steps in and says, "Hey, no, this is his choice. This is for him to decide, and also like this is for us to show that we do exist and that we are part of this country and this community, and if he doesn't go, we're just we're absent, and like we have to prove that we are part of this kind of thing." And he sticks up for his dad. It's a really sweet
his
moment.
attorney is telling him you have to be there because the world has to see the parents of the victim. You guys are the emotion,
which is why the prosecutor says that Suha, the wife, has to be there, and she's adamant she's not. And maybe she'll make like a run, and obviously we'll talk about the scene where they're in the prosecutor's office because that's a big scene in this episode. I was just kind of getting around the other stuff because this was a really sweet moment, as is the moment afterwards where he is like taking apart the machine, and his son's like, "Well, what are you doing?" He's like, you got this because it makes more money than the job we're supposed to do, which is they're electricians, but they do this like an extra thing, this cutting concrete. And he's like, "No, no money in the world means more to me than you." And it's like he never says that he knew he broke it. It's just he says everything he needs to with this gesture of like, "No, this machine doesn't mean anything to me. You do."
Yeah.
And it's a great moment. And even
I mean, for someone who's lost a son, it's such a horrible way and has been dealing with so much trauma, like it's something I think we needed to see also, is him just remembering he has another son who is going through a lot right now too.
Yeah, and it was the right amount of time where obviously his mind is focused on the one who died for so long. It was the right amount of time to give us a sweet moment before the trial kind of becomes. And it's worth mentioning in that meeting scene with the others, they do speculate, hey, what if they try and claim they're insane? Because they bring up another case. And it's like, so that is a concern that even they have, that they'll try and wriggle their way out of it with this. So, no, that was really good. So, the scene where they go to the prosecutor to hear the charges and the entire statement is gut-wrenching in multiple ways because Suha doesn't speak Hebrew, and Muhammad has to translate for every couple of lines. And
you mean Hussein?
Hussein, sorry. And he's trying to translate every couple of lines. And obviously we cut away. We don't have to hear the whole story because we've heard, we know what happened. But it starts off and he's very clear. He's like, hey, and this is where we hear the defendant thing, where he's like, yeah, so we have defendants like 1, 2, and 3, and what I liked about this is Hussein jumps in and says, "Oh, why are you saying numbers 1, 2, and 3? Why not just give me their names?" And he explains, "Oh, because 2 of them are minors, and by law we can." And Hussein doesn't like get angry after that. He actually sort of like essentially it seems to accept it and accepts that that's like, okay, they're young, we're not going to hear them, and explains that to his wife. I like that. Again, it showed that Hussein was kind of level-headed.
It's true. Yeah, he's he gets it, and it's not. at first he kind of gets defensive about it, or even a bit aggressive, like, why are you not giving me their names? Like, are you protecting them?
And
And then
is this
the
because
answer is yes, but not for the reasons you think.
yeah, but what I like about it is that it's like, well, how much grief did he go through when everyone found out it was his son who was the victim?
Yeah.
Like he
Yeah.
understands like this is going to put other people through misery
Yeah.
if their names get out. So it makes complete sense in the
Right.
moment for me for Hussein to react this way. And he's like, this is going to be in great detail. This is going to be this, that, blah, blah. Um, so we come back to them after we've been away to other scenes, and they're at the point where Muhammad's in the car and being strangled, and Hussein's translating this. And the moment in this scene that I loved because of how well it was done, but obviously felt the gut punch emotionally, is when Suha asks if he was alive when he was burned. Was he burned alive? Did he suffer? And Hussein, like, oh, so here's that question, and then waits for the next details. And the prosecutor describes him being pulled out the car, and then at the end of the sentence says, and he was wheezing, proving that he was still alive at this point. And he doesn't translate because the prosecutor stops and says, you're going to translate that. He's like, not yet. And he's like, he's not wanting to confirm that he was alive. He's waiting to know for sure, was he alive, because he doesn't want to tell his wife that he was alive when he was burned alive. And there is a little bit of a silver lining, and the prosecutor says he was lately unconscious and didn't feel it. He lately didn't suffer
Because there was like soot in his lungs,
so he was definitely alive.
definitely still breathing, but he didn't move around at all, so he probably was unconscious.
But there's a whole period here, because this is something they never quite confirmed for us. We heard speculation back in like episode 2 and 3, about like how did he die? Was he alive when he was burned? But they never actually told us outright.
No, we knew that he had twist ties around his hands.
Yeah.
So there's that. Well, maybe they were tying him down, so that's why he couldn't move. But we know he just had him tied up while he was in the car.
Yeah, but as much as we saw a lot of it, there is that one detail we weren't quite sure of. So I thought maybe we'll find out he died when because they beat him before they burn him. When he gets out of the car, they beat him with the crowbar or whatever it is. And I thought, maybe that's the moment where he actually passes away. Maybe that's the moment where he dies. But no. So, but what I liked is that even though we've had so much like detail and we saw all the stuff last episode, there's still a little bit here where we're on the edge of our seat with Hussein to find out whether or not his son was burned alive. So that was a really neat little touch, I thought.
Yeah, that was rough.
and seeing him having to then like reiterate this like as best as he could to his wife also was like, because this is a double-edged thing for him where he's both receiving this horrible news and then has to deliver it as well within seconds.
It has to translate it. Yeah.
So it's an instant
in a way where it's not just translating the words, but translating it in a way that won't upset her too much.
And how do you sugarcoat it?
Yeah.
You can't. Like they're going to hear it in court. I mean.
Right, which is the word that she recognizes and freaks out over. Yeah.
So no, fantastic scene. And the episode, ends with Hussein. Like we see, like Yosef and the others, like being brought into the court. The teenagers are hiding their faces with their shirts. And
I hate this scene.
They're being brought in, and Yosef is intentionally looking kind of like dead-eyed, like he's not there. Like whether this is an act or not,
he's shouting out, "I am the Messiah."
Yeah, to sound like a crazy man.
He's clearly playing the crazy card.
Yeah. And
you hate him so much for it.
And when Hussein goes in, Elad like decides because Suha stayed home. She's trying to text the girl, and Elad doesn't want to go in. He said, "I'm going to stay out here with the protesters because there's protesters outside, and obviously in favor of Muhammad." And he's got some signs and some posters, and he's going to stay out. But it feels like a touching kind of like, okay, good luck kind of moment. It's not like a mean thing. Hussein understands and says, okay. I'll go in by myself.
He's not going to go out there and start swinging fist again.
And he comes in. He has to say to the prosecutor, "Look, she's not coming." And the prosecutor doesn't like reiterate how important it is she's there because he's already done that. He just says, "Okay, let's go do it then. Let's do the best we can." And so we end the episode where Hussein's sitting there and he sees Yosef and the kids come in, and it ends, like with us ready to start this. Like, so it's a great cliffhanger. It's a great moment because it's like, okay, this is all going to come out. That everyone's in the same room. He's in the room with the perpetrators. And
man,
I feel like seeing Hussein's reaction to their statements, to the way they talk to everyone when they're on the stand and things like that, is going to be like potentially the best episode. Like, I'm not going to get my hopes too high, but potentially this could be the best episode.
Potentially.
Yes, Our Boys was good. Great even. So by all means, let us know what you thought of the episode in the comments below. Like and subscribe, all the usual things. Get us on the Twitters at @mails_fuzz for channel updates. If you want to support the show, you can do that by rating the audio version of the podcast over at Apple Podcasts, wherever. Give us 5 stars, lets more people find us, that kind of thing. You can, of course, support us financially. Tara, how can they do that?
You can check out our Patreon page. It's patreon.com/MalfuzzTV. And donations as little as $1 per month gets you bonus episodes of shows we do, like the ACE, the Atomic Cinema Experiment, which is our science fiction movie podcast. You can get bonus episodes of Time Cop, Leviathan, other ones I can't remember, Robo Vampire.
Yes, these are the bonus episodes of the ACE of the movies we reviewed, not separate bonus episodes of, because the way he said that, he said bonus episodes of Time Cop as if we've got a series of Time Cop.
Oh, no. Definitely not that.
Just want to make that clear.
I apologize for misleading, but you can have your $1 back. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for your $1. So yeah, you can go to Patreon. You can do that. And actually, one thing I'll briefly mention in here is if you're a fan of horror movies, we're about to hit October, and for October, our horror movie podcast, Screams After Midnight, that I do with Tim, we do a marathon. We do the Octoberthon, which lasts all month. This year, we are going to try and have an episode for every single day. That's 31 episodes over 31 days. It's insane.
Oh my God, that's impossible.
Just you watch, baby. Anyway, so one of the things we're doing for it is that we're doing a top 50 horror movies list as voted for by our community. So if you like horror movies, you might be a part of that. You can send in your top 25 or top 50 horror movies, ranked and numbered in order, because number 1 gets a lot of points and number 2 gets slightly less, and so on and so on. You can send your list to mftvquestions@gmail.com. And that's your top 25 or top 50 horror movies. And there'll be a results show at the end of October with me and Tim going through that list. In fact, you're going to see a similar thing soon with me and Tara. So, because we did a vote recently for just top 50 regular movies. So, but yeah, so go and keep that in mind. The deadline's the 20th of October, and look forward to all the extra horror movie reviews that you're going to get over the month. That's Screams After Midnight. Go check that out. That has been a review of Our Boys episode 8. Thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching TV, guys. Have you got any vanilla?